Nietzsche and Malthus were philosophers who forwarded the idea of eugenics, that by eliminating inferior races, the sick and disabled, evolution could be advanced through selective breeding to produce a better race, a brutal, heartless, dominant race Nietzsche called the Superman. The idea of the Superman landed on the ears of a young street thug and social activist named Adolf Hitler. He would begin Lebensborn, an Aryan breeding program, and later would round up disabled Germans and non-Aryans for extermination. But Hitler was not alone. In the first half of the 20th century, eugenics was becoming popular in many countries around the world. The United States and Canada ran forced sterilization programs right up until the 1970s. As Hitler was gaining power and prominence in Germany, a young eugenicist in America was gaining attention for her own outspoken views. Meet Margaret Sanger, eugenicist, racist, activist, and founder of Planned Parenthood. Although she wrote many books, Planned Parenthood seldom quotes from them and tries vigorously to rewrite history, casting her in a more positive light. But let Margaret speak for herself. What you are about to hear are direct, word-for-word quotes from her writings. Ladies and gentlemen, meet the real Margaret Sanger. Margaret's thoughts on blacks, immigrants, and indigents. They're human weeds, reckless breeders, spawning human beings who never should have been born. Margaret's thoughts on married couples' rights to bear children. Couples should be required to submit applications to have a child. Margaret's views on the purpose of birth control. The purpose in promoting birth control was to create a race of thoroughbreds. Margaret's thoughts on the rights of handicapped and mentally ill. More children from the fit, less from the unfit. That is the chief aim of birth control. Margaret's views on the extermination of blacks. We do not want word to go out that we want to exterminate the Negro population if it ever occurs to any of their more rebellious members. Margaret's views on respecting the rights of the mentally ill. In her Plan for Peace, Sanger outlined her strategy for eradication of those she deemed feeble-minded. Among the steps included in her evil scheme were immigration restrictions, compulsory sterilization, segregation to a lifetime of farm work, etc. Margaret's views on adultery. A woman's physical satisfaction is more important than any marriage vow. Margaret's views on marital sex. The marriage bed is the most degenerating influence in the social order. Margaret's views on the Young Men's Christian Association and the Young Women's Christian Association, otherwise known as the YMCA. Brothels of the spirit and morgues of freedom. Margaret's views on motherhood. I cannot refrain from saying that women must come to recognize there is some function of womanhood other than being a childbearing machine. This raving monster didn't restrict her venom to writing and lecturing at KKK rallies. She opened clinics typically in poor black neighborhoods and offered abortions and contraceptives in the hopes of reducing the black population. The Planned Parenthood of today is something even darker. They make on average $500 per abortion. By performing 300,000 abortions last year, they raked in a healthy $164 billion, not including grant money and government funding. President Cecil Richards defends her nearly $400,000 a year salary by saying that she works hard for it. Many CEOs and top executives of Planned Parenthood are paid annual incomes above the $250,000 mark. Today, Planned Parenthood is a master of propaganda, encouraging new business by encouraging sexual promiscuity among the young. Here is an excerpt from a Planned Parenthood video on YouTube. The next thing you will note is how convincing it is to young girls that abortion is not so bad, when you realize that Planned Parenthood makes money off these girls.
Hey everyone, it's been a while. Today I wanted to talk about abortion. Dun dun dun. I realize that abortion is a big scary word, but hey, maybe it doesn't have to be. Scrape away at all of the myths and the political debates, all of the sexism and stigma, and underneath you'll have a perfectly safe, legal medical procedure that's an important option for a woman to have if she becomes pregnant before she's ready. Now, it might seem like abortion is something that rarely happens, perhaps because it is that big scary word, but about 1 in 3 women will have one sometime in her life. I think honestly, people are just scared to talk about it.
This kind of emotional manipulation is absolutely horrifying and should be illegal. Planned Parenthood is more than a big business. It is the Walmart of the abortion industry. They have a target market among young women, and like every big business, they have a marketing strategy. As witnessed in the short clip, they manipulate the thinking and emotions of young girls in order to make them customers. What you don't see, what they fail to mention, is the long-term mental, emotional, and physical harm they are doing to young women while making money. A long-term study in New Zealand showed alarming increases in drug and alcohol dependency, depression, and mental illness issues among women who had had an abortion. This study, and any other facts that might speak against the abortion superstore, are quickly swallowed in a sea of propaganda and misinformation. What do we do to fight this monster, which drinks the blood of infants and discards the shattered husks of the young women it uses? Remember what the Apostle Paul said in Ephesians: "We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers in high places." We will advance on this evil most effectively through the power of prayer.